Women are the mothers of the nation. It is so unimaginable that such despicable acts can claim lives of 19 women, which is a scar on the national conscience. A chilling episode that has gripped the nation and left many questions unanswered. Why have 19 women been killed in this orgy of bloodletting, and it appears there's no end in sight for now to stop the murders? Is this a national security crisis? On the spotlight is Frank Mwesigwa, Kampala Metropolitan Commander, Augustine Hakineza, former detective and lawyer, Fred Egesa, a private detective, and Rita Achiro, the executive director of Uganda Women's Network. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to the show, and all of you, this national spotlight is on you, and people across Uganda have been asking themselves a question. Let me begin with you, Frank. In Western democracies, if 20 women are killed and one cannot find the killers, the leadership of the security agencies in such countries are bound to resign. Now, 1 to 19. That number, those are too many women who have died. And yet you still hold your offices. Somebody would be asking, if you cannot protect our lives, our property, then why are you there?
Thank you, Patrick, and good evening, viewers. The difference between us and the developed countries is because for us now, we have got some of these people who are behind these murders. It's not true that all these murders that have occurred, we have not done any progressive effort in terms of making arrests and making sure those who are behind it are taken to courts of law. If you have been following closely, if I can be specific for the Nansana incidents, we have got 13 suspects arrested and have been charged to courts of law. For Entebbe, we have got out of the 9 suspects arrested, no, out of the 12 suspects arrested, 4 have already appeared in court and remanded. That's a clear indicator that there is enough evidence, and our lines of inquiry are to make sure we really know the motive behind all this. But the good news, we have made the effort to arrest and even confessing some of these acts and those who have been behind it.
Arrests have been made. We have seen police deploy, for example, in Katabi. We have seen the Inspector General of Police go there and assure the people that everything is under control. Only to leave and we hear, despicable acts committed against Ugandan women, gory images of women raped and sticks inserted in their private parts. After police has given us assurances, how are we even sure that the people you have are really the people who committed the crimes?
Well, as I said in my opening statements, this is a organized criminality. And once the crime is organized, it really requires a lot in terms of combating it. And the people we have, as I said, there is confession, why they did it, and there is clear evidence. So that one really gives us a lot of hope and energy to know, yes, it happened, but we have you, and we have the reasons why you did it. So as we deploy, increase our deployments, and also working together with the public, our effort is to make sure whoever is behind this, ultimately he or she is brought on book at the end of it.
Isn't it confusing, Rita, to find that an area like Entebbe, which, should I even call it a garrison town, you have the commander-in-chief residing in Entebbe, you have the United Nations facilities in Entebbe, you have the Special Forces Command in Entebbe, you have some of these top police officers and army officers living in Entebbe, and arrogantly somebody comes and kills Ugandans right there in that town. What does that speak?
Patrick, that is precisely the point. The people behind this killing are trying to show their power, just as you said. The commander-in-chief is in Entebbe. Entebbe has all these big administrative offices. It has our international airport. So if you want to bring down authority, and unfortunately many times they use women's bodies. Now that, I think, for government and my colleague Frank here, they should be able to read in between the lines. This is not just a mere killing of women, but the killers are trying to say something. I don't know what investigations they found or what confessions they found so far, but these people are proving a point to citizens or to the country, unfortunately using women's bodies. For me, what is disheartening, it's not even about the numbers, Patrick. One death of a citizen is bad enough. These are not just statistics. These people have names. Nalule, Nakaziwe. They have names, they have faces, they have families, they have children. They have gone. Nobody's talking about how these children are being kept. Who is looking after them? In fact, I would want Frank to tell us how government and police in particular, besides doing the investigations, what are happening to the young. Averagely, the age average is about 25. I think the eldest is about 30, 32, 37. The rest are 17, 28, 27. You know, very young women. We've lost labor. We've lost mothers. They have left behind orphans and families. Who is going to take care of these children?
Augustine, if you had to delve into this as a detective, because is this a ritualistic murder? Is this just criminality? Is this somebody trying to test, you know, the government, the security apparatus? What is it?
Good evening, viewers, and if I come in this perspective, actually it's talking about the social challenges people are going to go through after the death of these people. The command is saying, yes, we are on top of the game. But let us ask ourselves, has it started in Entebbe? Are these the first serialized murders we have had in Uganda in the recent times? If they are on top of the game. What happened to the massacre issues? The people arrested out after killing 20 people. 200 arrests were made. Where are they? Before you assured the people of Entebbe that the situation is under control. Who are these young women being killed? Before we start telling people we have arrested people. Where do they come from? Are they residents of that place? Are they killed from where the bodies are found? And the question will be, what is the police response time? Who's the first at the scene? Because we are asking ourselves, yes, we have arrested how many people? Some have appeared already in court. But what is the cogence of that evidence gathered by the police that will sustain a proper trial? Isn't it an arrest because the IGP has visited the place? Or it is an arrest based on intelligence gathered, and indeed these confessions will be sustainable at the trial?
I think that's a question that Frank should go through. But, and also,
so when we go back
they take him back, because in Entebbe, there have been other murders before, I think. There was a British national who I think was gunned down in Entebbe. And
the trial was okay.
And then before that, there were some young people who died in big number, I think on Boxing Day about 2-3 years ago. And the claim was that they drowned. And these were the same age, around 17 or 19. And 19, all of them drowned, young, all of them boys. I mean, it's the pattern is not believable.
Well, I think we need to put a few considerations on this, because the background information you are giving on those kids who drowned on the beaches, indeed it happened, and it was out of the drunkenness and the less measures that were put in place. But out of that, we learned a lesson. And I think ever since that year up to now, even when we have these beach goers, we have not had any similar incident, because we now put even timeline. The time we are supposed to be in water.
Ugandans have been partying on the beaches for as long as that beach was there, and they knew they could party there. But for them to die in big numbers at the same time in a similar way, and it's a drowning, people look at that death very suspiciously.
Yeah, but Patrick, they have been partying, but also things keep changing. The lifestyle of people keep changing. When you look at the age bracket of the people who drown, that's what I'm saying. Now we had to come in with measures. If you are to use the beach, there must be timeline. But when you allow people to use this water up to midnight, what do you expect? you can't even save a life in that situation. But back to the subject matter and what my colleague is saying, it's not, we don't arrest because the Inspector General of Police is in the place. By the time he comes, a lot of work has been done, because the first responder at the scene is the commander of the territorial area, or the one who gets the information. It could be the investigator. And when you respond, you become the first responder. There are building blocks we follow, the 5 principles. Number 1 is save life, of course. If you reach and you find life is there, you save it. If life is gone, then you preserve the scene. And that's how you start picking evidence, putting 2 things together. And then you continue identifying the victim, and then ultimately identifying the suspect, and then arresting them. So we arrest depending on the information we get from witnesses, on the evidence on the scene, and those are the things that guide us and ultimately build the case to be taken to court.
So what's the kind of pattern that we need to establish in these killings? Is because you talked about organized crime. Do you see a thread that is connecting all these with some form of command and control structure of this criminality, of that criminality, or there are different incidents which seems to be coincidental?
Well, if I could go specific on Entebbe, out of the 9, 4 were domestic homicide, death as a result of domestic violence, spouse relationship gone sour, and that's how we categorized the 4. The 5 is the same pattern, not domestic in nature, but organized and using the same modus operandi, the 5 of them. And that's why, again, when we made arrests, there are 2 indicators we are following in all these murders. Number 1 is the ritual sacrifice. That signal is there, and clearly with evidence. Because even in Nansana, one of the suspects we arrested confessed to have been sent by somebody to kill these young girls, and then after draw blood, which he could use to appease his spirits. So that line of ritual sacrifice is still there. Then we also have the domestic differences. However, that's not conclusive, because our question now is, why Nansana, why Wakiso? Those 2 areas. So our investigation is still digging deeper to establish circumstances as why these organized criminals selected these 2 areas. Could there be other causal factors? So that is what we are working on.
I'm wondering how, you, as a police officer, you're going to handle issues that are connected to witchcraft. It's an area that you...
Yeah, but of course, once life is lost...
You have a platoon to deal with witchcraft?
No, it's not. It's a joint effort. It's a joint effort, because now what we are embarking on is, again, sensitization, getting even some of these witch doctors on our side. There are some who are positive, of course, but there are also those who are negative. So we can't just say, as police, we cannot manage it. For us, all actors must be brought on board.
But, Richard, I understand. For example, you have built shelter homes in areas of Kamuli, in Namtumba, and Nibusoga, because women have been beaten in the places where they're supposed to be given love by their own spouses. And even here, according to Frank, it's happening, domestic violence resulting into death. And you know more about that. Why do we see a spike of GBV?
Patrick, there are a number of reasons why we see that spike of GBV. First of all, we don't only have shelters in the 2 districts. There are a number of shelters run by different organizations in Moroto, in Tororo, Masaka, Mbarara, so many others, just to give that temporary shelter for a woman and a girl.
Where she can run to for
temporary, yes. As the police are trying to do their work, as you know, our police do not have such facilities to keep these women and girls. One, I think for a very long time, as a society, we have tolerated violence against women and nearly normalized it. It is only until such things start happening, that's when people take it seriously. A woman is killed and they say that's a domestic issue. And that's where it will end. But for this particular case, I think what has sent the chills down our bodies is the pattern and manner in which these women are being killed. you are raped, you know, strangled, and I think he made a very good point. Are these women killed? By the way, I grew up partly in Entebbe, went to school in Entebbe. Entebbe is one of the, you know, most serene places one would want to live in. And it's so sad that this is happening in Entebbe. So you find that this pattern that is being used to kill these women is something, as I said earlier on, it is definitely to prove a point. And for me, what is disheartening, Afande Frank, is that the police has not been able to bring the Ugandans to speed. What is happening? Where are these women coming from? Who are their families? Are they killed in those places, or they are killed somewhere and their bodies brought there? What is the motive behind this killing? Because we know that, as I said earlier on, many times to prove a point, people will want to use a woman's body, especially if you want to insult a man and his family. They will rape your daughter, rape your wife, rape your sister, rape your mother, kill her to show how useless you are as a man. And I think for me that whoever is doing this is trying to prove a point. I don't know whether it is to the police. Our police really needs to build our confidence, to believe that you can do it, because citizens have lost it with police. We do not have that confidence.
Okay.
As Patrick said, we work with women who are abused. Many women do not even want to go to police because they'll tell you, that is a family affair, go back. Now, if it has reached this point where the police cannot reassure us that I cannot walk freely as a woman because I am fearing, then I think the state needs to step in. They have the reason to protect us, our rights, our freedoms, and above all, the lives of citizens of this country.
Augustine, Uganda, you should give it to the men in uniform, is one of those, at least, island of peace and stability if you look into the region. And for the last couple of years, they have tried to manage to keep us together. Ugandans can go and party and do all the things and even go home and expect to wake up tomorrow and do their work. Or even come on a television like this and criticize the men in uniform and go back. But have we reached a point where now, probably that is no more? Or is somebody trying to prove a point, like Rita is saying, that look, your potency as a security organization is gone. I can arrogantly kill your women and hurt you and walk.
I don't think we have reached at the level where the officers in uniform have not done their bit so far. Or they are targeting a certain group of people. What is missing in the whole system is, does the police give people the information as they get it? Because he has told us 4 have been isolated to be domestic violence. But the question is, what causes this domestic violence? Because you don't investigate to take people to court and leave it at that point. Okay? You ask yourself, if it is domestic violence, it is originating from what? What policing modes should we apply then to curtail this situation? Now, if the 4 are isolated to be domestic violence, then the 5 are what? Okay? If there is rape, then after murder, the question is, are you sure there was rape because you found a stick in the private parts? Have you found foreign bodies in these people? And are they the same foreign bodies you have discovered in the 5 women? Then you would say, there is a serial situation. It is an organized...
How robust is our forensic and investigation arm of the Uganda police, so that what he's talking about can actually be investigated and you follow it to the latter, to its logical conclusion?
Well, maybe before that, if I could respond to my sister's concern, where cases that are domestic in nature. She said that when they are reported to police, sometimes police say, "Whoa, that's a domestic." That's not true. We have the Child and Family Protection Unit in Uganda Police Force. And whenever there are differences at a family level, domestic issues, most of the cases they report to that office. And when they report, depending on the magnitude of the matter, then they come in, they investigate, they can even cause arrest to deter people being killed. So at least those measures are there, and we have a unit that specifically deals with that. Back to your question, Patrick, Uganda Police Force has built capacity over time. And as I speak now, we have the best forensic lab in the Eastern African region, the best we have now. So when we talk about the investigation, we look at really systematic different areas of concern. Number one, some of these evidence we collect can be forensic evidence that require such capability. And that's why, even you remember, when in 2010 we were hit by terrorists, we were able to apprehend these guys, even when they had closed out of the country. And we were able to examine all this evidence and bring them to book. So in terms of building capacity, at least we are there. In terms of having forensic experts, the laboratory, the equipment, we have the best.
But you know, you have the best, you have the forensic experts, the best in Eastern Central Africa. We have seen the death of Muslim clerics. Up to now, you have not apprehended the people who were responsible for this.
No, Patrick, we have. We have. I mean, there is no case of murder that has happened, including the Muslim clerics, that we have not made arrests. It is not there. You have seen some of them appear in court and some are convicted.
So these were acquitted of these crimes?
No, some
they were put on them crimes of terrorism, not in the murder.
No, they were both terrorism and murder.
Not sir.
Because the recent, sir. Those who were acquitted, remember they were like 8, but 3 were acquitted. The rest were taken on. No, who had a hand?
No.
Yes.
All the charged people, all those who were tried in the issue of the Muslims, none was convicted of murder.
No.
Yes, they were all, those who were convicted were no acts of terrorism.
Yeah,
none
but you see, when you are talking about terrorism, murder.
So investigating murder crimes is very problematic.
It's not problematic.
Because you seem not to get them.
No, but I've explained. If we use even the recent case scenarios we have on board, we have had these murders of these ladies. And I've told you, we have apprehended them, there is evidence, and have been charged to courts of law. You see, you cannot sanction a file when there is no evidence. You cannot.
I think, Patrick, for me, my challenge, and I guess many people out there, yes, Frank, it might be true that you are arresting, but we want the murder to stop. Tell us what you are doing to stop the murders. Because the arrests, well and good, but I mean, women cannot walk freely anymore. Girls, what exactly are you doing to ensure that we feel free? I think that's what the public needs to hear. And also, probably you need to tell us a little bit more. As much as I know the police is trying to do their very best, you have challenges. I work with the police in the districts where Patrick mentioned, and I know the challenges. The child and family protection is there, but barely facilitated. Most of the times, these people are sent to different offices. So maybe it is better for the police to come out, and I think one time the IGP even said, you know, to give fuel, you know, help the police. I think it's better to be honest than saying we are doing this, we are doing that. The Child and Family Protection Unit is the least facilitated unit in the police, at times without even stationery in that office.
We are going to take a break. When we come back, let's look into what many people have talked about, that there could be some battle for supremacy in the different security organizations that we have. Could that be the case? And that's why we are not saying maybe the murders are being stopped in Entebbe, Nansana, and other parts of Uganda. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara, and tonight we want to look into the murders of women in Nansana and Entebbe. What is going on and what is police doing to stop that? I've just been receiving a message from people who call themselves the Friends of Chenjojo, and they are wondering why police is actually giving money to prostitutes instead of facilitating your officers to do their job.
Well, Patrick, she raised a fundamental point. What are we doing to stop all this? If you have been monitoring the strategies we are putting in place to fight this organized crime, of course, you know, policing is a partnership. We cannot do policing alone. We need the public. We need stakeholders, those who are highly powered and highly interested. As Kampala Metropolitan, and of course, as we roll it out to other districts outside Kampala, we say, look, we need to activate the vigilance of our people. When you see us partnering with these borders, sex workers, it's not about
the prostitute brigade.
Prostitute. It's partnership, because these are our stakeholders. And as I speak now,
prostitution is illegal.
it's illegal.
So you are giving them money.
No,
so
there is no giving money. I think
that
that was again the misquoting of the media. There is no money that has been advanced to any prostitute. It's not there. You can go and interview them. What we are doing now is to build this system and making sure policing is anchored on the community. You have heard, I guess, even at your home, they might have reached talking about Mayumba Kumi system. That's why we are putting all our effort. What does it mean? To make sure we sensitize our people to know what happens in the neighborhood. Neighborhood policing of the 21st century. Policing is not about police, see people in uniform. What is your responsibility as a citizen? What is your take in security of your neighborhood? So we are clustering these homesteads together and identifying active partners.
Do you feel the people's, you know, what they read in these all the security measures, they see some kind of battle for supremacy on the top between the head of the police, the minister for security, and the parallel investigations, as if somebody is fighting like to be the alpha male?
Well, our Article 2.1 of the Constitution gives us our mandate as police, and that's where we drive our mandate. So to us, policing, fulfilling the constitutional obligation is make sure we protect people and their property. I don't see anything like supremacy in this, because that's our cardinal role as police, and we must be prepared and we must be there to fulfill it and to protect our people.
You have worked in in security organizations. You are a detective yourself. You are a lawyer, actually. Don't you see that battle for supremacy amongst the security organizations of Uganda? And that could be one of the reasons why they are not on top of their game.
You see, if you look from 2001 up to around 2010, World Cup and the terrorist issues, excuse me, what has been the focus of the security forces for that very period of time? Because by that time you had the GISOs, today we have PISO. And I can assure you, as the situation grows as it is, we might have VISO, Village Internal Security.
Or even HISO, home.
PISO, family.
So, but is it a fight for supremacy? I don't think so. The challenge is giving defined the mandate and struggle for the budget. Who is doing what? Are you on the ground? Because you ask yourself, if the IGP was in Katavi 2 times, what has he left and done that the Minister of Security is going to do? If we have 11 million as is suggested of crime preventers, that means if we have 40 million people, out of 40, 11 are what? Are crime sensitive Ugandans interested in controlling an upsurge of crime. That's a preventive measure.
Almost out of every one of us.
There is one crime preventer.
One crime preventer.
Are you getting it? And that one crime preventer is anchored by a PISO at the parish level, where they can handle this situation. So, is the visits by these senior officers about to solve the problem, or it is accountability for the budget? Because when Vestige came on the spotlight, everybody was focused on political intelligence. The commissioners were stars by then. Until the 2010 terrorism attack here, the ground shifted. People got more concerned about terrorism.
Yeah, Rita,
now we are here.
Rita, yes.
Everybody is focusing on going to the ground. Are you giving resources to these intelligence officers, the crime preventers, who are based on the ground, or you are visiting with the money and organizing meetings? Who should be facilitated? The IGP to visit, or
the PISO?
The crime intelligence officer in Katavi, the PISO in Katavi, and these crime preventers, what are they doing?
But you know, Brigadier Kaka is saying he doesn't want to deal with some of these GISOs because he found them wanting.
So why have we been for the rest 30 years to get non-wanting PISOs? How many graduates do you have on the streets who can address this situation?
Well, let me go back to the issue of women, because Rita, I can imagine many flock to your office to tell you their stories, and some of them are gory stories. For particularly Entebbe, which you actually say is even your hometown, where you grew up in Entebbe, what are they telling you?
Patrick, for the last few days, we've had colleagues who have been going to Entebbe, particularly because we wanted to work with the leadership in Entebbe to see how we can, bring this issue to the limelight. Because we were feeling frustrated. The police, according to Frank, a lot is being done. Out there, people feel nothing is being done. There is no communication, no updates. I guess most of us know in the developed world, whether it is an act of God or it's a terrorist action, you'll see police giving updates 6 hourly, 12 hourly, 24 hourly. This is what we've done. This is what we found. This reassuring the citizens. Unfortunately, I think as the detective has said, what we are the picture that is being projected out there is of the big shots being on the ground. But what is coming out of what they went to do there, nobody gets to know. Yet today, we were supposed to have a vigil. We wanted to organize a vigil in Entebbe, and we were told we couldn't have that vigil because the IGP had a similar activity in Entebbe. Nobody knows what that activity was. So the families, nobody's even going to them, just to show that we are concerned as a country. A lot of work is being done. There is no communication.
But when you wanted to have that vigil in Entebbe, did you first of all go through the Metropolitan Commander, Frank, is here?
We did.
I'm not aware.
Can you imagine this?
We did.
Can you imagine this?
No, Frank, we did.
I'm not aware.
Of course, you might not be aware, but we did. The mayor of Entebbe got to know about it up to the last minute. That's when we were told, no, the IGP is going to be here. And of course, as disciplined citizens, we did not want to
get some tear
yes,
gas.
but we do not need, honestly, we do not need permission to mourn. And that is really disheartening. For us to be told the IGP is coming here, and therefore you cannot come and resonate with your colleagues, I think that is unfortunate. So that feeling that we have been let down as women.
Let the people mourn their dead, Frank.
No, I think...
And unfortunately, Patrick, you ask me what are people feeling. Many people, there's a lot of fear in Entebbe, a lot of fear. The women, men, everybody is actually scared. It's no longer a women's issue. People are scared. Two, I think, unfortunately, the police and maybe other political leaders out there, many times people politicize things even when they are not supposed to be politicized. For us to go to Entebbe and say, we want to mourn with these people, people see that as a political issue. Why do you want to make it a public thing? Honestly, and that is where we start, raising airs and wondering, are you people actually up to the game? Are you with the people or against them?
Okay. Maybe you could go for
Yeah,
it.
if I could respond to that. One is about, it's not true. Again, when you see the Inspector General of Police going to the scene, or like any other commander, if you have been in command position, you cannot just sit in the office and you think things are good. You give guidance. So the purpose of the Inspector General to go to the scene is see which guidance do I offer. It can be resources, it can be advice, it can be connection on some of these investigations. In case we don't have the expertise, whom do we consult? So the visiting of the scene of the Inspector General does not stop the crime scene officer, does not stop the OCID to do his work or her work. It doesn't. Now, when I come to the concern that there was a vigil organized in Entebbe, personally, I'm not aware. I'm hearing it for the first time.
Katabi.
Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, the Inspector General of Police has not been in Katabi today. He has not been meeting anybody in Katabi. Now, if he meets different groups in a different area, maybe they could not mobilize others who remained in Katabi to go for the vigil. But anyway, does it require vigil? That is also another thing. You see, when we are handling such matters, just know we are human beings. Besides putting on uniform, we get concerned. That's why ever since these matters started, we are not sleeping, because we have the mandate to protect our people. So it's not about the women organization.
At a vigil, people mourn the dead. At a vigil, people comfort each other.
Yeah.
At a vigil, people try to help. Yes, it is needed.
That one is needed.
So
and this vigil have been there in each respective homes. So I needed to find out, is this a merger? Are they merging all of them together? Are they visiting one by one?
But that's not the question
now,
you ask. You ask who is
no, what I'm saying, we cannot say being on vigil is bad. But you see, again, as you said, it's not true that, again, people are living in a state of fear. I've been in Entebbe today. Even if you move now in Entebbe, women are walking. Women are walking. Men are walking. So we haven't reached at that stage. And that's why all our effort is to make sure
if there is a sense of paranoia, it's not going that you're going to see it. It's not going to be physically visible. But people will walk, yes, but they have sense of fear.
You see,
yeah, but
yes,
you
see, what he's saying, wait, where are these people going to vigil? The people are going to meet the IGP in a certain place?
That one should ask her, because they are demobilizers.
So if you don't know, and the IGP was not in Katabi per se, as you have said, then who is this person that stopped them and told them the IGP is there? So those are some of the elements we are seeing in this coordination.
Because at least he has not been there.
The whole commander of KMP is not aware that the children in her group have been denied their right to assemble. And even more in Uganda.
But doesn't that show, Frank, that actually there could be uncoordinated even movement of your even policemen and officers on the ground? If you cannot even know, a certain officer is telling the executive director of ONET that, look, this is going to happen here. And I want to imagine that he's not. She's not.
But was that an officer from Uganda Police Force? Because she said she talked to the mayor. I mean, these are different
for us,
agencies.
Afande Frank, you know, we are required to provide notice. And as citizens, we respect that. We've done that. We do so many things with the police. We have demonstrations, and we know what to do. But we were also working with the leadership in Entebbe, particularly with the mayor. And we had a team that was going to, even this morning, they were in Entebbe. Yesterday, and it was cancelled. And he said, the IGP is coming to Entebbe, so you cannot have the vigil. Actually, they said next week, that we'll have the vigil next week, without giving us a particular date. So, yes, probably there is lack of communication, but that was done, because we wouldn't be saying that just for the sake of saying it. And on going back to your question, whether is it important to have a vigil, unless, Frank, you've lost your African humanity. I think it's important for us to have a vigil, and for us as women, it speaks volume. It might not matter to many people, but it speaks volume for us to go and sit with the families. As I said, many of us are looking at the names of these 19 people, but behind them, some of these people have left 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. Nobody's talking about them. What is the country going to do about such a family? I imagine if our army officers, the men and women, something happened on the front line, government does something for them, at least for a certain particular period. But for these families, who is going to cater for them? Yesterday, somebody posted on Facebook that probably the reason why we are not talking about these women is because they do not have Facebook accounts, they do not have Twitter accounts, they do not go to, these big clubs. That's why nobody's caring. But they are citizens. I want to believe they are citizens. Maybe that's one thing they haven't told us. As the detective said.
Yeah, who
are they?
They are citizens.
They are citizens. So for even one soul,
if they were not citizens,
even if they were not citizens, they are human with soil. And that would even be worse, because we have to account for every soul. And it's something, if the police does not come out to really stamp their foot, people are going to lose faith in the police. Even the is it Mayumba Kumi? Mayumba Kumi, that strategy. In my village, in Namgongo, we have it. We work with the police, and we know that the challenges the police have. But that constant reassurance that the police is going to be there for us is very, very important.
We have a culture today of parading suspects before the media and claiming that these are the people who have carried out these acts. Yet you don't see the evidence in courts of law. Can this turn out to be a miscarriage of justice?
Well, I think most of the time what happens in court, sometimes we don't, maybe as media, pick a lot of interest in it. But I believe the effort the media puts in place when they are covering some of these activities, if you could put the same effort in, maybe in courts of law, you could really dig down and see what is happening.
Let me tell you, when we tried to put an effort, you actually paraded some men who were said were doing horrible acts in Kampala, and before the cameras, and I think the EGP was there, he said, we are working with the police.
No,
working with us.
That's not true.
Somebody stated that in camera.
No. He stated, actually, you see, let me explain this.
And when we try to expound on that.
The good thing, I personally was involved in all that operation. that gentleman who said he was working with police, it was again out of poor observation skills, because the people were arrested. Some of them were Iraq returnees, and some of them were having uniform similar to this, khaki uniform, but of course without the flag and all that. Now for him, and again looking at their lifestyle, these are people who are on drugs. He could not differentiate between the khaki of a returnee and also the uniform khaki of Uganda
After
police.
he said that, that guy was taken away, and then so you come back with that statement.
No. But even
you could not
but
allow
you
him
see,
to
even,
expound or ask him before the
Patrick,
camera. I say, whom among us? What do you exactly mean?
You see, when we make arrest, we take statement.
Yeah, but when he
I can show you. No. I can
statement,
show you even in.
I
can show you even in his statement, because you see, he made this statement before he came for that press conference. When you read his statement, there is nothing like that. So how did it all of a sudden come in his mind? Because we expect you, as we get your statement, chronological of events, and they are captured, and it's on record.
Why didn't you let him stay there and complete
No,
and
he
ask him
remained.
questions before?
No, he remained there.
He was taken.
No, he remained. He came back.
See, you would ask yourself.
You're saying, when you say he came back, that means he went and then was brought back.
Yeah, but you see, he was now trying to divert what was happening and divert attention of the people.
So we don't know what happened in the background when he went.
I'm telling you the evidence we have on paper. I can come and speak volume of words here, but what have I put down? Is it contradicting what I'm speaking?
So long as you haven't written it under duress.
Of course, there was no
Let us
duress.
ask ourselves, what is the purpose of parading a suspect? If you have the proper information he has given you, and you have his day in court, what is the purpose of telling people this is the person who did this? When the person is supposed to verify and believe that evidence is there. What if it is found that is not true? What will you do to that person you have paraded that he is the one who has confessed? And actually, if you look at that clip on the media, this man was categorical. He said there is an afande who was facilitating us. That you said that is a lie. They took him back immediately. They did not allow him to explain. Maybe.
No, you don't talk about the afande.
Wait. You would wait for him to say the afande was dressed like this, so that you could believe it was not this uniform you're talking about. It was the one from Iraq. Did you allow him to do that? So the public remains. The public remains asking itself, why was he rushed behind the scene? You remember the late AIGP Kawesi parading a man called Baguma on one of the television stations, who was claiming 400, a good hundreds of millions for having been a contracted killer. Where did he go? Where is that man who is telling you, I was contracted and I'm demanding my money after doing work? Did you tell Ugandans where that person went? Instead of going for these people of Butayim, when someone tells you, I have a contract, I did the job, and you have not paid me. These are some of the things. If you leave that one aside, you remember when they were parading people in Mayuge who killed Sheikh Moai, I think, that time. You are parading people and you have put Bukokoro on their heads. So are you parading people to see the murderer, or you are doing something else? But the whole concept is, why do you parade a suspect? His right of presumption of innocence still stands. So how did the witness identify him as a person who committed the crime when you have already told everybody that this is
the person?
The person. Will that one be a proper identification before court? When he has already identified him from the media? Are you giving this person an opportunity to fight his battle before the judge? Because everybody has said, you are the killer.
Okay, I think, Augustine, you're raising very important questions, and he's not going to respond to them right now because we're going to take a break. When we come back, Afande Frank will respond to that, and I'll be opening the line so that you two at home can tell us what you think, give us ideas on how we can protect our women, the mothers of the nation. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and tonight we're discussing the murders that have been taking place in Entebbe, in Nansan, and some other parts of our country. Tonight, if people you go out and you want to, you're driving home or you're walking home, you even get scared, at your own gate. You think there's an enemy lurking in the vicinity all the time. And that's the kind of paranoia that I think Rita was talking about, and Augustine, before we went to break, had a barrage of questions for you, especially on the matter of parading suspects. In fact, if I suppose Ugandans knew their rights and they knew the law, and if we eventually find them innocent, they could sue us into bankruptcy.
Well, it's not our standard, really, as Uganda Police Force to parade the suspects. And as I speak now, of course, we have many suspects left and right, including these recent ones we apprehended in Nansana and also in Mukono. You have not seen us parading them. It's not a standard per se. And by the time, if I could go specific to that case you were mentioning, by the time those suspects were paraded, we had done all preliminary information or preliminary investigation, and immediately after that, they were taken to court. So there was nothing like somebody saying, or a witness saying, but I saw him on the screen. It wasn't. But just know it's not the standard, and we have many suspects, including terror suspects, and you have been seeing us taking them.
It's the norm now.
No, it's not the norm. We have many. You have seen these ones we just arrested recently. I don't think you saw any. If you saw them going to court. Their faces, they were entering court.
I found it, Frank, in Kampala, you could be driving in downtown and somebody can take off a light off your car even when you're there. There's a woman around Mukwano roundabout as you go to Namuongo who was driving, and then she saw a man taking off a wheel cap in front, and she hooted. And the guy was taking off a wheel cap, came back with a huge stone and told her, "Stop it, or I'll smash you." You see, the arrogancy of the criminals has reached that extent in the heart of Kampala. It's real.
Well, Patrick, I think for us, really, as police, we deal with the symptoms of society. And that's why when we have other stakeholders and all these organizations, we need to dig deeper in the root causes.
The society is sick.
Society, some parts of the society, there are gaps, which we must fill, by the way. Because you see, police's approach is the stick, arrest, prosecute. But there must be the carrot side. What can we do to shape our values in society? What can we do to get employment for these young boys? Because the example you are giving, there used to be a term in Kampala, face. These were young boys, 14, 13, dropouts. Nobody is interested in taking charge of them. Even their families have neglected them. Now, those are the challenges we deal with. But in the most cases, as police, we deal with symptoms. We need to go back on the drawing board and look at the root causes of some of these conducts. And that's when we shall approach.
Okay, doesn't he raise a very important point? That
yes, I think
we have lost our values. We have no values. There's nothing binding us together as a country that these are our values. Even raising our children in our homes, we seem to have left that job to somebody else. For those who are elite and you have some money and you're working in corporate Ugandan, probably you don't have time for your child. And the children we are raising, it's a generation perhaps that will be having a deficit of values.
I totally agree with Afande Frank on that one. Yes, he's right. The police is addressing the symptoms. There are bigger problems that we need to look at, or bigger challenges for that matter. And also we need to look at these killings not as an isolated case. We need to look at issues of governance, issues of social, economic, and political in our society, because he has mentioned how do you give employment to the young people. He said, according to their investigations, there seems to be witchcraft. What is perpetuating witchcraft? According to him again, people want blood to get money. Is that because of poverty, that people can no longer find something to do and they find all weird ways of getting money, including setting up some funny churches and worshipping places? That horrible things are happening to the citizens of this country? Are we talking about the high levels of inequality in our country? With the very rich are rich, the poor are getting poorer. The population dividends, we have 78% of our population under 35 no employment. What are these things going to be? Aren't we sitting on a time bomb? As some of, probably I want to agree, I'm not an investigative, but some of the issues he raised, if really we go deep into the investigation and do some analysis to find out what are the drivers behind this type of crimes, apart from the ones, even the ones Afande said, is it 4 or 5 that were domestic?
Basing on what Rita is saying, could this be a pointer showing where we are headed in a very problematic kind of situation? Because yes, if we're actually adding 1 million people in our population every year, how many jobs are we creating every year?
No, we are not heading there. We are there. we are already there. Because you'd ask yourselves, there are businesses that survive on hopelessness. Those are businesses which survive on forwarding what will not and giving consolation to people who have already given up. That's part of witchcraft. There is no science in witchcraft. There is no science in telling people, you will have a visa to US from where? Will you get it from there just because you have slept in a certain church around the town?
And they're taking away the little money from the
So
poor.
that's the business. I just can't imagine that you want to go before somebody and then that you want to get a visa.
Yes, that's business surviving on hopelessness.
A visa.
Now, let us ask ourselves, the society has broken it down. Who is telling us it has broken it down? And on what statistics? Let us ask ourselves, how many shrines are in Katavi? So that the upsurge of 4 people dying or in Nansana is because there is witchcraft. Are these shrines based in Nansana, or they are recruiting blood, taking it from a neighboring district? So that's why I was telling you, the best way to win a battle is to prepare for it and have everything at go. Even the enemy say, from the air power we have seen in Uganda, we can't dare. That's why you see the boys have subsidized it. We are above their plan. If we have a piso in every parish, we have a giso in every sub-county, we have a biso on every border, and we have crime intelligence, community liaison officer, child and family protection. What statistics have they given us of domestic violence reports where they have resolved these cases and they have not gone somewhere? Then they would tell us, the families in Nansana, there is high rate of unemployment or violence between husbands and their wives. Is it because wives are having sidekicks because of lack of money in the house? Or the husbands have got more money and are getting more women and they can't handle the situation? It is not going to be left to the so-called NGOs and other people. The police itself, in its crime intelligence system and the crime preventers, have they had a correlation situation to us ask themselves, when did this surge of witchcraft practitioners breed up in Entebbe? If they have come up, what are the effects of the activities? Our children is safe? If they really survive on blood? What relationship do they have with the Mamafinas who regulate these activities? So that whoever comes to Entebbe, he's one of those known to practice the business. So the social situation, the security forces will not run away in analyzing what will affect the internal security of the country. You will not abdicate that duty to private practitioners.
I think, let me open the lines so that Ugandans can also tell us what they think. And probably we even give us some witness accounts or maybe some idea of how this bloodletting can stop, because it should stop, and it is hurting the very conscience of our nation. Let me take the very first call line. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening. I'm called Malia Mungu from Arua.
Go right ahead, sir, Malia Mungu.
My concern is,
yes.
Right now, I'm called Malia Mungu from Arua. What I was suggesting is, right now,
Maria Mungu, you are listening to yourself instead of telling us what you want to say. Unfortunately, we cannot keep you online. If you hear an echo, forget about the echo, continue talking. Or you turn down the volume of your TV set so that doesn't send an echo to you or to us. Let me take another caller online. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Odongo from Namugongo.
Olo in Namugongo, you're on air, sir.
Yeah, what I would like to tell the policemen, first on Namugongo. Yeah, I would like to tell policemen to stop telling lies and they should believe in ordinary Ugandans.
Okay.
Otherwise, a policeman could stand firm telling a lot of lies against you and they don't want you to tell anything.
Okay, thank you very much, Olo in Namugongo. Let me try to advise again. Please ignore the echo. If you don't want the echo to disturb you, you turn down the volume of your TV set so that we can have a conversation, and then you won't hear the audio coming back to you to disturb you. Let me take a call online. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Margaret calling from Gaba.
Margaret, you're on air.
Yeah, I'm just informing the police to be a bit more vigilant, because what is happening right now is right in front of them, but they're doing nothing about it. If you go to town, there are so many young boys, 14, 12, 13 years old, lying around the road. Go to Kabalagala, opposite the police in the evening. There are so many young boys lined up there, facing the police. And that's a risk to the police.
Thank you very much, Margaret in Gaba. I'm going to take two more callers, and then we can have maybe Frank and the other guests respond to your contributions. Let me take a call online.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Entebbe. I'm Barbara.
Barbara, you're on air.
Yes. Why aren't these people using sniffer dogs? We don't see any sniffer dogs. Do they help?
Okay. He will respond to that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me. Yes, you have another issue? Oh, she's gone. Okay. Let me take another call online. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, ma'am. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Marcelina. I work with the Pacific Care Hospice, Ginger.
Okay.
I would first and foremost apologize for those people who are blaming the police.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we have a local council, and this case has been going on a stream. I don't know how the parents are handling their children. They know that they're killing. I think we have to blame ourselves, because they say charity begins from home. So there's no way you can blame the policeman when you as a parent, you don't know where your child has gone, and they have local council to find out who are the bad boys around. So I'm just calling to apologize for the people who are blaming the police. Yeah.
The ginger apology. Okay.
Yeah, I'm apologizing for those people who are blaming the police. Let the policemen forgive them.
Your name again, ma'am?
Marceline.
Marceline from Ginger.
Marcelina. Marcelina from Ginger.
Yeah.
The Marcelina apologies have been taken.
It's very unfortunate, because at 5 years, when the child reaches 5 years, when I brought him that child will not be anybody. That child will be useless. So let us blame ourselves, the parents who are leaving the children just walk anyhow.
Okay.
Because you see people have been killed, and all along you continue walking on your own, and you are lady. So you don't even blame people who are killing them when they blame the parents.
Thank you, Marcelina from Ginger.
God bless you.
Thank you, Marcelina. Okay, the last call online. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My dear, Peter from Bali.
From Bali?
Yes.
Okay, you're on air, sir.
Yes.
You're on air, my friend from Bali.
Yes, I'm here from Bali.
Okay, tell us what you want to say.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that Ugandan force has failed.
And that is it?
I'm calling from Bali.
Okay, thank you very much. You've made your point, and your point is taken. Our caller from Umbale, at least, maybe let me just take one more. I'm tempted to take one more caller because I think this is an important issue that at least we should sample so many views from different people around Uganda. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name?
Good evening to you. My name is Simon, and I'm calling from Gulu.
Simon, you're calling from Gulu.
Yes, sir. I want to appreciate him and also appreciating the police team.
Okay.
But I think the police need to a little bit up. They need to be vigilant. They look just somehow demotivated.
Okay.
They need to really.
You want to appreciate the police, but you're also saying they need to be vigilant.
Yeah, they need to be vigilant, and it should help. And if there is a way that they can have good interaction with the community, that these things are a lot.
Thank you very much. A caller there from Gulu. Okay. Some of you are saying police is doing their job. Some of you are saying police needs to be vigilant, and some of you are saying police are telling lies. But maybe you could respond, Frank.
Thank you. If I could start with the concern of Margaret, where she said on the streets in Kampala and in the areas of Kabaragara, you find young boys and girls, 12 to 14, lying on the street. And this one, again, takes me to the concern raised by Maserina. These kids on the street, where are they coming from? That's the question. That should be the question. Because you see, police, as I said, it's not about dealing with symptoms. Once we have a breakdown at the family level, once we lose the values of parenthood, then we are likely to lose the whole generation. What is most important is find out why these kids on the street. Who are they? Who are the parents? What is the responsibility of the parents in all this? If we don't reflect back in some of these challenges and questions, we shall never address the problem. So to me, as of course we have been doing a lot in terms of picking these kids, taking them in the remand centers, trying to rehabilitate them, but that's not enough. That's not enough. What is your responsibility as a parent of these kids? What have you done with all these good programs? Free education at primary and secondary level, but opportunities are better not going, they are not being exploited. So to me, the question should be, these kids, who are they for? Why are they here? What is the responsibility of the parents? Barbara talked about sniffer dogs. We have sniffer dogs and we use them. And even of these murders, like the murder which was in Kawempe, we used the sniffer dog that took us up to where these murderers had entered, and we got them. The only difference is when do we use them. For example, if the crime scene, for example, the body has been discovered decomposing after a week plus, it has been raining and many things have been happening. Sometimes it gets difficult for these dogs to do their work. But just know we have these dogs, and every crime scene we first subject it to the use of sniffer dogs. Maserena, I must really take your concern and to appreciate that true it's the parents who are not doing their best. It's not about police blaming police, but the responsibility of parents in all this. Peter from Bali said that Uganda police has failed. Uganda police has never failed. It's not about fail, and it will never fail, because every day we build capacity in terms of protecting people and their property. Simon from Guru, that police need to be vigilant. For us, we are vigilant, and what the message we are giving now is the members of the public must be vigilant. It does not make sense for us to be vigilant and people are not vigilant. That's why you see all these community meetings and sensitization is to raise the people's consciousness and the vigilance, so that at least they are able to detect some of these acts and then report to police. So we are doing our part, and at the same time bring the members of the public on board.
Okay, our time is almost out, so this is what we're going to do. Beginning with you, Augustine, tell us your parting shot.
Well, I would say the police has not failed per se, but they need to focus on some of these issues. There is a lot of time spent in political intelligence, crowd control, and there is some areas they have neglected and which are now coming up to destroy the whole hard image, well built, and is crumbling in the eyes of the public, when it is really not what they have not done. Specifically, I had two experiences. Around the early 2011, I was traveling in a bus which was overloaded. So by that time, I still had contacts of the Regional Police Command of Southwestern Region. So I sent an SMS. The operation began. When we reached the way bridge in Mbarara, the bus was intercepted. What made me so angry and said I will not do the same again, the officer who arrested the bus, he told the driver that is one of your passengers who has reported that you have overloaded. I was forced to switch off my phone because I asked myself, what if? Yeah, when the RPC was giving instructions, he gave them a contact to keep liaising with me. So what does that one mean? Is the public willing to volunteer information if they come across it, for fear of repercussion by the exchange of information by the person I'm reporting? So if that trust can be built, that if Patrick wakes up in the morning and sees an unusual activity in the neighborhood, he was seeing someone who is not working, he's having property, he has more than 3 TVs in his house when you are passing around, you ask, but does he need them? He doesn't use them. They are dumped there, you are seeing border. But when you tip the system, say, but you see, Patrick is always here. Then you become the target of the wrong character.
Okay.
So if they can build that capacity, try to put resources in intelligence gathering, then they will. These murders will be solved. And everywhere murders are there. Whether you go to US, whether you go to France, what is needed is the flow of information, the trust the force has and the people, and how they are using the intelligence got from down there. These crime preventers should not be running around to see who is voting for who. They should focus, who is this person in our village? Where does he work to have 3 TVs in his house?
They should do policing and leave politicking.
Yes.
Okay. Your parting shot, Frank.
Mine is related to reassure our people that as Uganda Police Force, we are committed to fulfill our core mission and protect our people and their property in a committed and professional manner. Notwithstanding, of course, what is happening, just know we are on top of this situation, and soon or later we are going to end it as we have done it, even in other previous incidents we have had. And of course, to thank the public for the support they are giving us. Even in these areas where we have had these cases, when we have our community meetings, you see support of the Wananchi, support of the women. Recently, the women were telling me that I find we are going to fight with you to end this. So that's already a sign of confidence and trust. And we are thriving on that to make sure we stabilize our communities.
Okay, let me maybe hear the last word from Rita Achiro, and I'm going to ask you to look into camera 3 so that you can tell the women of Uganda and Uganda now that listen to you. Probably that can leave a mark as we conclude this.
To people out there like Marcelina, who called, apologizing on behalf of the police. Yes, the police is on the cross right now because they have a responsibility to protect the lives and property of citizens, and therefore they cannot be let loose. That's for starters. But it does not mean that as parents, as community, we do not have a responsibility as well to teach our children to do the right thing. But this problem is bigger than the police. This problem needs a broader understanding, a broader intervention. It looks at our governance issues, how people are participating, issues of equality, issues of fairness. And until we address those issues, neither me nor you out there will be safe. Because for those who do not have, will find ways of getting it, including murdering people, like the way they've done.
Thank you very much, Augustine. Thank you very much, Rita. And thank you very much, Frank Mwesigwa. And all of you who have called, you've called from Gulu, from Umbale, from Namugongo, from here, around Kampala, and yes, from Kyenjojo. All of you, Thank you for being a part of this discussion. At least we need to do something so that we can protect the mothers of our nation. Good night, and God bless Uganda.